Welcome to Sweetheart Before I Say I Do. I'm so excited tonight. For those of you who are just chiming in, this is your first time ever seeing us live. My name is Marissa Bludorn. I am the author of Sweetheart Before I Say I Do. We're talking about all things within the love relationship. And I have with me tonight, I'm going to bring her out with some good sound because it is ladies' night. Normally we have a gentleman or a couple of gentlemen that come on live with us too. In particular, our co-host Kevin Long, and he's not here tonight. He's on a special project. He's got to finish that up, and so it's ladies' night. We got a jam. It's Friday.
Yes.
It's ladies' night, and I'm feeling right. Oh, what a It's ladies' night. Oh, what a night.
Hey.
Girl, it's ladies' night,
Yes.
and in tonight's topic, when we talk about the love relationship, when we go live, we can get very intense because the love relationship is just that, it's intense. It's very important to us because that's our partner, that's the person that we share, or we should be able to share everything with. And so it does get intense. And so in lieu of thinking about that and how serious the conversation can be around the topic, because there's a lot of hurt going on. I think that that's why it gets so intense. There's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of disappointment, unmet expectancies. And so I noticed just in looking and observing myself and things like that, one thing that I see that's always absent is the youthfulness, especially that you're older and going into the love relationship. It's a lot more serious. When you were young and you were teenagers, it was the playful side, right? You got to joke, you got to hit them, you played, you even played basketball, you played sports. There was something that was part of the foreplay, right?
Right.
That now that we're older kind of gets absent. What are your thoughts about that? Maturity, being serious in a love relationship, as well as being playful.
I think that when we become adults and especially when we grow older, it's like
Mhm.
we get this mindset like, oh, I'm you too old for that. I'm too old for that. This is we forget all about the kid inside, It's we get very, oh, I'm too old for that. I'm too grown. Sometimes we get too grown. We get so grown that we forget about the kid that lives in us and that's going to always be there no matter how you try to push them down or whatever. I just think we just get too grown. And to me, I mean, there's no such thing as we too old for that. Well, why? First of all, who said, who made these rules that we were too old to do certain things? Who said that? And
Mm.
why are we abiding by those rules? Like, where did that come from? You too old to be doing this, and you too old to be doing that. And that may even come from even being a teenager. Right? Sometimes your parents or some people's parents would say that you too old to be doing this, you too old to be doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like taking that the kid out of you, even during that time. So then we get their age and we like, well, we too old for this and we too old for that. But again, where did our parents get that from?
Yeah.
Where did we get that from? Who said we was too old to do certain things?
Right, right. Now, when it comes to your children, there's a certain level of playfulness that you have with your children, but
Mhm.
there's a difference between, that playfulness with your partner. And I like to do my homework. I like to do like at least a little research so that it's just not what I'm saying, right? Because a lot of what I speak to is what I'm seeing and I'm observing, and I'm saying to myself, what the heck? I can be very, very passionate about what I feel. I can be very passionate about my viewpoint. I can be very passionate about my work. But I can also be very playful. I like to have a stress free environment. I like high performance, high deliverance, but I also like it to be a stress free environment because I don't really believe that we need to be this stressed out. Like,
Right.
I don't get why we we make ourselves so so anxious, so uptight.
Mhm.
Uh, I just that it baffles my mind. And so, of course, looking at the love relationship, I'm single, and I look at the love relationship, and I'm not a good dater. Like I can't date. I don't know how to. I know how to be a wife. Like I know how to do that. I do not. I will not lie. I just don't know how to do that because for me, I'm all in or all out. It's I gotta either be all in or all out. And so I did a little bit of research to say, Marissa, you a little off with this, and I'm no, I'm not. I'm
Mhm.
not, and I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm not. According to the Insider, playfulness can ease stress and conflict in your romantic relationships.
Mhm.
Here's how you get started. So they're even suggesting to you how you get started with putting a little bit of playfulness. And they also go in because when you do real good research, you always have a balance. You got the pros and you have the cons so that they're addressed. And so too much playfulness, which is not really being playful, is being immature. Too much
Mhm.
playfulness can damage the relationship because now you're using it as a deflection. You're not using it as an engagement. You're actually using it to deflect from any kind of problematic area. So playfulness, think about it. When you connected with a guy, I remember my high school sweetheart. One of the things that draw him and attracted him to me was me helping him with where he was, right?
Mhm.
So he had to be vulnerable. He had to be very transparent because I got to see everything. So he couldn't hide, right? He couldn't hide. You broke, busted, and disgusted. You ain't got no food.
Right.
You need to learn how to wash your clothes and doing all of that stuff. And so
Right.
the bond was there,
Right.
right? So when we got older, and I know that when I returned, so when I got married, I was 23. When I finally got married, I was married twice. The second time I got married, I was 23 years old and stayed for that length of time. So 20 plus years later, here I am being single. The game is different. The game is different because I'm older. The game is different because so much has happened. And that and I saw like people have a list. Like you gotta have this, you gotta have that. If you
Yeah.
don't have this, and and
Yeah.
it's
I forgot about
like,
that. I'm like, what? Where did that come from? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I was like saying to myself, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Um, this is so out of control and so unnatural. It's like interviewing for a job. And so, what does the sex look like? If you're interviewing for a job, you get married to the person. What does the romance like? What does the sexual life look like? Because now it's robotic, right? It's based on duties. It's based on job responsibilities, job
Mhm.
description.
That, but those lists don't say anything about love.
There is no love. It's
No.
not looking for love.
No. And then
That's
you
not
wonder why it
looking for
didn't
love.
work. Why it didn't work? Nothing about love. I've seen I've heard the list like, oh, he got to have a 401k, he got to have social security, he got to have some type of benefits. He got to I mean I was like, "Ugh, what about the
Marissa,
love part?"
yeah,
No.
yeah. And I get it for you to make sure that when you're coming together, someone is who they are, right? That they're not going to be. I understand it. I understand having to do that, but I feel like when you get to a certain point, you need to know that you have to have connectivity with the individual, and I think that that has to happen first. Do you have connectivity? And if you have connectivity, then then okay, now we know we connect, we know what is going on with you. And is it something that is repairable together if we work together? If you don't have a 401k, is there any way that we can help you to get the 401k? Because what happens really is you talk yourself right out of what could be the most incredible dynamic relationship.
Yeah.
And because you have shortcomings or you have such high expectations, the real person who fits you emotionally, mentally, spiritually gets cut out because
Mhm.
you know, they may not have all of that stuff. Who knows what at this point in our lives, what could have happened to cause them to have a setback, and
Mhm.
to be starting all over,
Right.
but does that start all over mean that it's going to take forever? No, two heads are better than one. You come together, you figure it out. And that's that you take a chance. But playfulness, my God, I mean,
Yes.
I trust me, I miss that playful stuff
Mhm.
because to me that's what keeps the relationship young, and energetic. It says playfulness among couples can lead to less conflict, trust, and long-lasting relationships. Sports, joking, watching a comedy with your partner are all examples of playfulness. You
Mhm.
incorporate playfulness into your relationships, experts say, but start small. So start small. I always notice that couples that spend a great deal of time together, have a tendency to have a very, very strong bond, even during adversity,
Mhm.
because of the commitment level. Um, they are connected. They have a community, family and friends around them that are connected to them. So there's a higher level of accountability.
Mhm.
And I've observed those relationships still intact because they are best friends,
Right.
you
Right.
know? They are best friends and
Right.
they really, really, they understand the good about them, they understand the bad about them.
Mhm.
And it's beautiful to watch. And that's why I say you have to have the Clyde to your Bonnie or your
Right.
Bonnie to your Clyde.
That's right. Yeah. I agree. I agree. Like you said, that it's the friendship. We've been talking about that, developing friendship first. And you talk about high school. Man, I think about how, well, nobody really, I mean, some people had cars, but we was catching the bus. I'm originally, born and raised in Cincinnati. So we caught the bus. We used to catch the
Mm,
bus, like to go downtown. That was our hangout. We used to meet our boyfriends on the bus, going to see them on
right,
the bus. You know what I
right.
mean? Like I said, and nobody had no money. you know, we were on the and we did, and we were very playful, very much so, and always laughing. I mean, laughter can make a difficult situation more bearable. You know what I'm saying? If
Mhm.
you're going through some, especially in the relationship area, if y'all could be going through it, but man, if you can just manage to get a laugh in.
Laugh at instead of, and I've been saying, okay, Lord, help me to like, instead of being the one that say, girl, blah 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 blah,
Mhm.
be quicker to pray than, and then ask God to help you navigate through this instead of being the one who's talking about them or talking about the person in a negative light,
Right.
right? Because ultimately, folks need to be around this individual if they're going to stick around, right? So they need to be around this individual, they need to maintain the respect level, but begin to see people, for who they are instead of your expectation. Begin to see them for who they are.
Mhm.
See some of their quirkiness as fun. I remember this one lady. She had said to me. She said, "You just have to know what level of craziness you willing to deal with." Right?
That's it. That's it.
What
That's it.
level of craziness you willing to deal with. And when she said it at the time, I was like, "What? I don't want to be dealing with nobody craziness." But you know what? If you let something, marinate in your mind a little bit, and you go through a little bit of life, you begin to look back and say, wow, I know exactly what she's talking about now.
Mhm.
And now I get it. Now I get what she's saying about that. And to just have fun with it instead of judging your partner. um, I just say, listen, laugh. Like, how
Yeah.
bad is it?
Right.
How difficult can it be? And I
Right.
just think that too, the playfulness, is good as well. It talks about here, when it goes back to stop doing the listing and start having fun, right? So in the study, researchers at the Martin Luther University, Hal Wittenberg in Germany, reviewed existing research on playfulness among couples, then created a list of benefits, including positive emotions and easing of tension. These effects lead to satisfaction, low conflict, and what did I say earlier? Sex, which can create a lasting relationship. Playfulness comes in many forms, like playing a sport, joking, laughing with your partner. Overall, it creates a sense of lightness,
Mm-hmm.
according to Rachel Sussman, a relationship expert who was not involved in the study, but playfulness among partners, such as surprising the partner, retelling and interacting joint experiences with the partner, and jointly forming new experience often contribute to the happiness and longevity of the relationship. So it's so important. Like, so you talk about tough conversations, right? Instead of having an attitude, going, you did that to me and blah blah. Babe, you had me going. I wasn't feeling that, right? Going in
Right.
with that and say, I cannot believe that you're doing this to me. Don't let that be the first thing you do.
Right.
Let yourself get a little worn out. Like I've talked to you about this a gazillion times, and let it be to a place where it gets a little worn out. But it brings ease to the tension, like we
Mhm.
were talking about before. Was like everything is so intense, and I just don't feel like it needs to be that intense. I feel like we just need to just relax. I think we're missing the whole point of what it meant for couples to be together.
Right.
you
Right.
know the beauty of it, the beauty, the satisfaction.
Mm. Right. Well, when you're dealing with a list, that don't come with it. The satisfaction and the fun and the great sex. I
That's
mean,
the status. That's status that you're
right,
dealing with. When you're dealing with a list, it's about status. It's not
right.
about fulfillment.
Because you said keywords, being with someone, for for spiritual, mental, spiritual needs. That's not on the list either. Or spiritual growth, or someone to add to my growth and development. That ain't on the list either. You know what I'm saying?
A list is the law. It's not
Right,
love. It's the law. This is the law that I want to live by. This is my rules. Um, and
right,
it's not, and granted, I'm not saying to be careless. I'm not
right,
saying to be someone who just is flying by the pants, old romance, and just not making sure you check. You need to check to make sure that this person is authentic, and genuine,
mm,
but at the same time checking off a list. And people can be the most genuine and just not know how to handle their money, could be the most genuine and just gave a lot of themselves in that
right,
past relationship. Because we're at a point where we're dealing with being parents already,
mm,
um, divorcing, having to sell properties, having to pay child support or alimony.
mm,
So where we
mm,
were kids, we didn't have all of those financial strains or all those financial big mistakes. We
right,
as adults now, at this point in our life, we do, but it does not mean that the person is a bad person. It does not mean that it's currency. It can come back again. You just need to know what you need to do to bring it back again. And so, looking at all of these things, and I just sit back and I just say, my heart's prayer is like, Lord, let us wake up, because I think we're really missing it when he said, man, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make him a helpmate. I just feel like we're missing that, getting so caught up in either testosterone, estrogen, ego.
mm,
We're getting caught up in so much stuff that it is blinding us until we are so sick that we just like, oh, we need to appreciate everything in life. Why, when you're sick as a dog, why don't you wake up before that? right? Why don't
Right.
you wake up before? Why do we have to get to this point? I know that it has to break God's heart. It
Mm.
has to break his heart that we get to that point and we miss out on the playfulness and the joyfulness and the fun and the tickling. I like tickling. I don't like being tickled, but I like tickling. I like laughing real hard. Like I love all of that stuff. If I'm cold, I'm putting a hoodie over my head.
Right.
I like the blanket. Like I'm watching some crazy silly movie. I want to have fun. I
Mm.
just really want to enjoy my life, and I just sit back and I just watch, and I'm just like, oh my god, I don't want part of that.
No, right, right, right. And I too, I do. I mean, I I get the list because people just want to
You
be
gotta be careful.
they want to be secure. They want to feel safe because a lot of us have passed, we come from a space, a place of wounding and trauma. But we
Hmm.
were not safe, and so we want to marry the safe guy, the good guy, the guy that's gonna just make up for my whole
Wow.
unsafe childhood. Do you
Yep.
understand what I'm saying? And so you get him, but you still haven't really dealt with your past. You haven't dealt with your wounding, and you have these
Right.
expectations and this list that you have based on based on your past that's so unrealistic. And you want the man, you expect him to be just different scenarios. You expect him to be your father that wasn't there. You expect him to be your mama too. You expect him to, because of this wounding that you need to work on yourself.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why you have this list and you have these certain
Right.
criteria. You should be safe and secure in yourself
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
and foremost. Do you understand what I'm saying? And then I think once you got to deal with that. We talk about relationships. You got to deal with that. You got to deal with that stuff. And it's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with dealing with it with your partner as well. I believe
Right.
that that's good when when partners come together and they can help each other heal, because that's a part of this whole thing. That's what this is all about, for us to come together and heal and help heal each other.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So
That's very important with the healing process.
mhm.
And in the healing process too, there is points that you need to be alone and you need to go through it yourself.
Yep.
But if you choose to be in a relationship during your healing process, as long as you can handle it, you need to be transparent with the person. And before you're transparent with the person, you need to make sure that you check in with that person to make sure that they're ready for that. And people, the way that people let you know that they're ready is that they check in on you. They check
Mhm.
in on you. They give you the environment to feel safe in. They give you that environment to feel safe in. The way that you test it is just to observe them. How are they interacting with you? Sit back and watch them. Not watch them and again judging to find conflict. No, sit back to assess to see how are they responding to you. Are they checking up on you?
Mhm.
Are they asking you if you're okay? If are they doing those things? And if they're coming from a genuine place of concern and appreciation and value of who you are. So those are the things that need to happen and get the healing process. So you need to be vulnerable, and when you're vulnerable, you take a risk. You take a risk that that person really cares, but care enough about yourself that even if you take that risk and you're vulnerable with them, you being vulnerable don't make or break you. You being vulnerable is saying, hey, I thought you wanted to be in and I valued you enough to let you in, but it doesn't lessen you as a person.
Right.
So we're going to have to be vulnerable
Mhm.
and then discover whether someone really genuinely cares about you or not. But you got to love yourself enough to say, even if that person has that information, even if I was vulnerable to that person, it does not make or break my value. My value is still intact. Whether I told you privately something and you decided to do what you wanted to do with it, that's going to be on you later. That's going to come back on you. It's not going to come back on me because I was trusting that you were the person you said you were, and now you showed that you're not. But it does not because What happens when you are not vulnerable, when you're not authentic to yourself, now you are boxing yourself in and you're trying to protect yourself. And what you're doing is isolating yourself. You're not really protecting yourself, you're just isolating yourself. We got to learn how to be vulnerable and be prepared that somebody may not want you to be vulnerable or may not be able to handle that. And that's okay. They're just not the one for you. You just got to pick up your stuff and keep going, right?
Right.
But vulnerability, we as a society have to get back to a place where understanding that that's the only way that we're going to keep our true authenticity is to understand that with being vulnerable comes, a risk that the person that we're being vulnerable with, we're never going to know 100% if that person is right or not
Right. And
for us.
right.
Mhm.
And we put this negative connotation on the word vulnerable. Like, oh my
Yeah.
God, transparency. It's like, oh my gosh, can we please stop
Not
that?
trying to be perfect.
Can we stop it? What and the thing about it, in relationship, when you are being vulnerable or transparent, this is just really you being transparent to yourself in a sense. When you open yourself up, it's not really you opening yourself up to them, it's you opening yourself up to you.
Right.
You could be actually, because the person that you're with, like I said, it might not be that person, but you could be healing yourself while you're with that person. So you're like you said, you putting yourself in a box, and you could, this situation can be such a healing, a
And you may,
space for you,
yeah.
because you decided to be transparent, open, and really, like I said, to yourself, but just with another being there.
Right. And
This
that's what intimate relationships are all about. That's what the love relationship is all about. Is that you have one person that you should be in its totality vulnerable and transparent with. That's where you should be.
mm-hmm.
That's why this whole playfulness and
Yeah,
being able to joke and go into conversations that are tough with a little bit more ease, that's why that's so important because it's not a threat of the relationship. So
right,
if I'm transparent with you and I'm telling you what's going on, it should not be at risk of the relationship.
right.
There should be some level of continued communication in regards to it and continual work towards making sure that it's beneficial for both, that both are okay
Mm-hmm.
in this, whatever it is that's going on. But you said something that was key. God sends people to you at certain times in your life, and they're meant to bless you. But
Yep.
if you are so caught up, and this is what I'm talking about ego, testosterone, estrogen, and women have egos too. We have egos.
We
We want to be proud of who our partner is. We want to be proud of our situation, our status, whatever. We
want
have the same ego that men
to get the
have.
bag. We bag and we bag. Forget love. We bag, 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 bag.
My God. And so you want to, God will send somebody that's meant to help you through the process, but
Mhm.
you so busy trying to protect yourself and you so busy trying to not be vulnerable that you actually miss the person that God sent to you that would not judge you, that would not hem you up or make you feel less, but one who's there and designed specifically for you to help build you back up and
Right.
strengthen you back up.
Or that.
But you'll respect that,
Mhm.
and you'll and you talk yourself, and it's like self-sabotage, right? You talk yourself right on out of the
Mhm.
blessing of the relationship. And
Mhm.
so that's sad to watch too,
Yeah.
to sit back and see like, oh my God, this person, he or she didn't really realize what was standing in front of them. And that's
Right.
really sad. That's a heartbreaker too, because there's so much more. And I know that, they say, oh, that's what the news wants you to believe, or that's what they always report. They always report to negative, right? But we are all living in our communities, right? You live in your community, I live in my community, I have my network of people, you have your network of people, family, friends, whatever. we all know the sad stories,
Mm-hmm.
right? Aren't we living the sad stories?
Yeah.
So it's not the news that's telling us that this is going on.
Right.
We're knowing this is going on because we're seeing it.
Right. Right.
This is not some propaganda or some, scheme to try to get you to think that, all these relationships are broken. No, we know they're broken because we're watching them break in front of us,
Right.
right?
Right.
And
Or we're
so,
in them. We're
yeah,
in
oh,
them.
we're in them. Right, right, right. And so that's the heartbreaker. And that's why, come on and have us have these conversations in hopes that someone hears them and says, wait a minute, is that me? Am I
Right.
acting like this? And do the introspective work that's necessary because if we are all getting healed, we should show up whole to this relationship.
Right.
And we all do need healing. And I know for me, crazy for Jesus, I'm always going to the Lord and saying, Lord, show me where I'm in error and help me eat humble pie. Help me to eat humble pie so that I don't miss out on what you have for me, so that I can see it. And then
Mm.
also don't get into witchcraft either, where you want something and now all you doing is confessing that this belongs to you. No, confess, ask God to give you what belongs to you. Don't
Right.
covet somebody else's relationship, don't covet somebody else's experience because you don't know what the heck is really going on over
Right.
there.
Nah, you don't. You
You
have
know,
no idea what
you
people
over
going
there wanting somebody else's stuff
through. Mm-hmm.
and you don't even know what you're, so you really want to be asking God, or if that's what you do, you want to, I know for me, I'm going to the Lord and saying, give me what belongs to me, and if it doesn't belong to me, Lord, let it keep walking. So if he is not mine, let him keep walking. But what belongs to me, let it be attracted to me, let him be attracted to me, let me be attracted to him, let the timing be right, right? And so if it doesn't belong to me, keep it moving. If it does, then Lord, show us, make sure that we see one another.
Mm-hmm.
So that you got to get healed. We got our own issues, and we got to get healed. The men have to get healed. They have to ask God to help them with their healing. But I
Mm.
think that we also need to loosen up.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, because we do. We do. Even in that process. And because I know when I was going through my healing, I was focused, like, because I just wanted to make sure that I got it right. I got to get this thing. Then one day I was like, and that wasn't nothing but God, universe, like, Brandy, you can relax. You
Yeah,
can relax today. You can
it
relax.
ain't that serious.
It's just not that serious, honey.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
you
serious.
know, oh, I get it. And the fun, and I've always been, no matter what I've gone through my life, I've always had that joy inside. No matter what, I've always been able to laugh and being playful and having fun. Like, I've always been that way. So in relationship, that's a part of it. That's like that might be one of my deal breakers. Like, if we can't laugh together from the jump street, if we can't laugh together and be kind of playful, then it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work because I'm silly. We like to watch silly movies. We like to, like, imitate each other. Like, he walk up in here talking we laugh, we mock each other, imitate each other, and it's just silly and just fun. And
Yeah,
like you said, but there is a time to, um be having fun, and then there is a time, like I said, the maturity, and there is a time to not be having fun. You don't want to throw a joke out there or something and we're really having a serious conversation, or like you said, you're just trying to be silly because you don't want to deal with the conversation. That's just being immature. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? That's on something else. But definitely, oh my gosh, everybody's so uptight and so serious. And that's why we got all this high blood pressure and um all of this heart disease and all that comes from stress and the depression. All that, it shows up physically in the body. Things that we're dealing with mentally and spiritually show up physically in the
mhm,
body. The heart disease and the high blood pressure and retention and the diabetes, all that It's because of something that we're dealing with mentally. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why it's so important to heal. And I wanted to talk about how you said God will send you who he needs to send, and God will send you exactly who you need. And sometimes that person may not be for a lifetime that he sends you. They may just be for a little for that season. And it ain't always going to be the person that who you think it should be. It's
Hmm.
going to be who you need, who you need at that time. And he's not probably not going to be on your list. It's probably going to be somebody that's totally opposite. I've met people who, well, first of all, I've never had a list. I've never had a list, but I've never really been materialistic either. So I've learned a lot from people who were not rich or were not, maybe had a little piece of car and a little piece of house, but it was so I learned so much value about myself through these people. I'm the one to look at the trash bag maybe on the ground. It maybe people walk by it because it's trashy, but it might have $1 million in it. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. 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 And you never know. So you may look at somebody and they may be driving around in a hoopty. Don't mean they ain't got no money.
Right. You don't know what they got at the house. You
Right.
got
Their value may just be placed somewhere else. And
right.
they may not want to buy a fancy car. So you can't look at them and say that. Here's a reading from Sweetheart before I say I
Mhm.
do. And it says, my challenge for you is to pray. As I mentioned earlier in this chapter, you probably were wondering, how do I do it? Well, 3 years before informing my ex husband that I wanted a divorce, I prayed. I prayed for 3 years for the Lord to heal me. I asked God to remove all the hurt, the pain, the anger, the disappointment, and the regret of the years lost. I'm a pet peeve for wasted time. I was angry at this man because I had done everything from being his friend to being his advisor. Yes, me, the knowing nothing, who got pregnant at 18 and did not go to college, out of control, dominating Marty, became his advisor. Back to being his friend. He did not judge to change or address. He did not budge to change or address any of the needs I expressed to him over the years. So he wasn't moving, he wasn't budging, he wasn't changing. And I had prayed for him. He had done some changing in some areas, but not in the areas that it was directly for me as wife, not father, man, but as his wife. Ladies and gents, you know that's painful. He was none of these things for me. In return, I received doubt, no support, anger because I stepped out of the box to start a business, which he did not want me to, nor did he help me. He never wanted me to go anywhere or do anything. I failed to go away with girlfriends on numerous occasions because he asked me not to go. But when he wanted to go and do, I was cheering for him all the way. I gave him total support because I wanted to see him happy, but I needed and deserved to be happy too. Because of the relationship I had developed with the Lord over the years, I knew exactly where I needed to go for more healing, for my healing. I am a happy person, and I refuse to let this individual further influence my behavior and limit my growth. I had to be set free from him immediately. I ran to the Lord. My heart's cry was, Lord, change me. I don't want to be bitter, angry, wounded, indifferent, frustrated, or any of those things. Lord, I forgive him and I forgive me. And that's why I am happy today. I don't want to be entangled with someone's nonsense. As best I can, I have a heart that chooses to honor the Lord, and therefore I cried. I did not care how long I had to cry. I poured out my heart to the Lord over and over again. I did it until I felt the release. You see, I had already in me an ability to believe he could deliver me. I tell you, even in the absence of time spent with the Lord, you can still be set free too. All you have to do is cry out to him to set you free. And so that I did that 3 years while still inside the marriage. because by the time I was ready to walk out that door, I wanted to walk out that door unscathed. I wanted to walk out that door in total freedom, not being angry and regret. So some folks are like, wow, you don't even look back. No, because I already prayed for that. And then I
Right.
didn't tell you I prayed one time. I cried over and over and over and over and over again until there was a release. And when I say to you, there was a release, it's when it's deep. The love relationship is unlike any of the other relationships, your sisters, your brothers, your
Mhm.
friends, your family. The love relationship, the two become one flesh. That's what the Bible said. They become one. So they talk about soul ties. Soul ties happen when you tie yourself to somebody in it, having a sexual encounter, but it's not. It's just a sexual encounter because people don't understand that it may be easy for you to do it, but the person that you're doing it with may get attached to you, or you may get attached to the person when it initially started as just a hookup, right? So that's how soul ties can get linked together. And as a result, you wondering why you're stuck with that person, or you wondering why you're experiencing certain things is because you tied yourself. So the love relationship is a very, very serious, it's deep because I go in further to talk about how when the love relationship doesn't work out, you get depressed, right? When it fails, you start feeling these feelings of depression. You start feeling these feelings of loneliness. When people break up in a relationship, and even when people get divorced, they call it a funeral. It's a death to the relationship because why? You feel like so devastated because it's like I gave. So I knew that enough to say I see a lot of women bitter. They old ladies walking around and mad at the world. I was like, I don't want that for myself.
Right.
Like we talked about earlier, I like the joyful side of living. I
Mhm.
like the joyful, the fun. That's where I like to be.
Mhm.
And so as a result, I knew pray,
Right.
release this man so that you can go ahead and you can enjoy your life.
Mhm.
And um, coming into to seeing all of what's going on out here, I'm just thankful that my I didn't come from a marriage that was abusive. He wasn't physically abusive. He just wasn't supportive. He didn't show up like he could have showed up. But I'm thankful for that experience because boy, coming out here now,
Mhm.
woo, it's just like, what the heck is going on? You can't even get with somebody and not even have an agenda to be married or not even have an agenda for anything that's next. You're still having problems. Y'all can't even get together, kick it, and have fun and
Right.
just do that. Am I right? Or am I wrong? You're
Just
having problems
friends.
even when there's not a commitment. So if you're having problems with your non-commitment, something wrong with people, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't have to do with a marriage. It doesn't have to do with if you do get married or don't get married. People are just being, a pain in the neck to people, each other.
Yeah. Because and that again, that just goes back to nobody's done the work. They haven't done the work. They've been in marriages and relationship and back and forth with their husband. I've seen, back and round,
Some
and
people keep going back to their
yeah,
marriages.
they do because of the comfort, and that's
Yeah,
that's
and,
what we
and,
want.
and
We
I
want
know it.
comfort. And comfort, the comfort zone is the worst place to be because you will not grow in your comfort zone. No, I mean it feels comfortable, yes, but there's no growth in that space. You have to come out of that.
It's just
And
like putting on sweats and eating ice cream. Eventually, you're gonna fill up those sweats.
you sure are.
You
You
don't
sure are.
exercise, and you wondering what happened. Well, you didn't.
Right.
You got comfortable. Your clothing is comfortable, and now you're not realizing that you're expanding in the wrong direction,
Right.
and so then you wonder why. But
And then the
yeah,
bitter women, they mad at them. Most people that's bitter, they're really mad at themselves.
yeah,
It's not
it's
the
their
other
choices.
person. Because what really, if you really think about it, it's the other person there was there, but you allowed certain things. You allowed behavior. You played yourself. I needed, just for example, I need affection. If I'm with the man and he's not giving me affection and I asking him to give it to me, or I'm kind of begging him to give it to me and I don't get it, Well, I'm playing myself because if I need affection and I'm not getting it, why am I still here?
Yeah,
That's
yep,
on me.
yep,
I'm neglecting myself. I'm
yep.
not loving myself. So a lot of times people don't want to look at themselves and be like, you know what? That was my fault. I let you do this and that and the other, and I neglected for me to have a good time because I wanted you to be happy, like you said. But what about your happiness?
At your sacrifice. And you
You're
have
right.
to come to a place where you evaluate that and you
Yeah.
say to yourself, so that's what I said in that conversation. So where I said I had asked him for years, there was three things that I asked him to do over the years, and those were the three things that I used to say, Marisa, are you going to stay with this or not? And so understand this, that so you have to pick your battles, right? So
Mhm.
for me, I had 24 years of, living a married life, raising my children, being a wife. I had what the American dream was, right? Big, beautiful home. We were doing well financially. I had all of that. But at the same token, for me at that point in my life was me saying, do I continue to battle with this individual to be what I believe God called me to be? Because remember, I told you the support was not there.
Right.
He did not want me to run the business. He did not even know how the business was doing because he did not want to run it. And remember, I talked about ego.
Mm.
Ego is you're not doing what I want you to do, so I'm not going to help you. So that you hope I fail, but I don't fail.
Right.
So he's like, I was frustrating the hell out of him. I can tell you that right now because he's like, this girl,
Right. Right.
you know me, Miss
Yeah,
BJ.
for
You already know me, so
sure.
you
Yeah,
know he had to deal with. I'm not different than I was before. In fact, I'm a little toned down. And so
really.
yeah,
What?
I am a
Oh, you
toned
can throw that
down.
man crazy.
Yeah,
Boy,
I did. And
man, he was beating the
sometimes
wall.
sometimes you don't realize, and I think that it's a catch 22. I felt like, look, you're frustrated. You got to be frustrated with me because I'm not going to. I'm not one you can wear down. My personality is not one you can wear down. And so I'm going to still be me. What I did was moderate me so that I wouldn't kill him in the process. You know what I'm saying? Because my personality is if I don't regulate it, I'm not vicious, but I am so strong with my personality that I'm going to be me. I'm going to be me. But I've learned to be compassionate and have empathy so that I don't kill people with my strength. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense to someone who's really listening and understands what I'm saying. So I'm not, so for me, it's not like I just looked at him and say, wow, you can't support me. This is great what I'm doing. Everyone else sees how great I am doing this, and your ego, because you just don't want me to do this, is that's how you're going to show up for me. And I just decided that as I got older, I'm not going to negotiate what I believe God called me to do with anybody. And
Mhm.
so that was the dissolve for me. I asked you the three things. If he had answered the three things and did them, he would still be married today. But because he chose to be egotistical and be stubborn, I decided, look, I'm out. Do you, boo. You're not happy here. I don't want to see you not happy. And you'll always hear me say this. It's got to be authentic. If it's not authentic, I don't want no part of it. Keep
Right.
fake, fraud, and phony. You can keep the big house, you can keep the cars, keep all that crap because that's not real. What's real is when we come together in private, we are just as real and together as we are in public. If it's not going to be like that, then dude, I'm out. And that's exactly what happened with me. We have to make the choice as to whether we got to pick our battles and we got to say, if you want to be with somebody and you willing to sacrifice and you ready to be phony and you ready to be whatever it is that is in conflict with your own convictions, then go ahead and be that way so that you're not alone. But you have to be to a point where, because in the closing of Sweetheart Before I Say I Do, you have to realize that it could come to a place where you are your happy ever after, that you may not have a person that's going to be a part of that. And if that is the case, are you Are you whole with that? Are you healed? Are you okay with that? Because if that is, you have to own that. You have to own that and start really enjoying your life.
Yeah.
Stop waiting for someone to show up to meet those expectations, and to make you happy. I'm happy. You
Right.
got to be happy by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be happy by yourself. And when you are, I'm going to tell you, the right person at the right time will show up. And my heart goes out to all of those who didn't get it because they're broken. Trust me, when you love yourself and you value yourself enough, once you rise up to who you're supposed to be, those people who did not get it, pray for them because their hearts are going to be shattered. They're shattered because they missed it. You were standing in front of them. God blessed you, blessed them with your presence, and they missed it. And when you rise up, I just had an interview with Dr. Lewis this morning. Show up to rise up. You got to show up for you.
Yeah.
And if you like being playful, be playful. If someone else doesn't get it, that's on them. If they stuck and you there and you're being playful, it's an opportunity for them to get unstuck.
Right.
If they don't get that, you're there to be their release and to help them to cross over the Jordan,
Right.
then that's on them.
Right.
Then that's on them. But we got to start being authentic and start having a good time. God is not happy with us being miserable. He said, Christ said, I come that you would have life and have it more abundantly.
Mm-hmm.
So you should go, we're going to go through trials. We already know we're going to have problems.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't gotta go through problems all beaten down. Like,
Yeah.
no, we don't have to do that. We can, there's a way that we can go, and we don't have to do that. We need to really come to a place where we just have fun.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, really, really have a good time. And that's why I wrote the book to say, you know what? One, you got to start observing people for what they are. Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them.
That's
You
right.
believe them.
First
You give them an opportunity. Don't be moving too fast with that.
time.
You
Mm-hmm.
got to see them over a period of time so you have measurability to see how have they been acting over a set period of time. If you
Right.
do it too fast, you may move too quickly. But
Right.
give them a period of time to observe them and to watch them. Watch how they interact with friends and family. I share that in depth in the book. Watch how they watch them from across the room. How do they treat elderly people? Do they treat them with compassion? Are they patient with them? How are they with their parents? Do they have a good relationship? Doesn't mean
Ooh, because let me tell you something. If you ever meet a man that had problems with his mother, it's hell to pay. Because everything that she was not to him in his mind, he's expecting that from you. And
or
that
he's angry at women.
and he's upset, and every ounce of anger that he is at his mama, he's gonna take it out on you.
It's so funny that you say that because check your email because I need your help. We're working on getting her War Two Volume 2 book series. We want to get that to bestseller. So check your
Okay.
email. Make sure that you not only do you purchase it for the 199, but that you also flip through a few of the pages and give us a 5 star. I say that to say that as a contributing writer in that book, I didn't talk from the perspective of my father being in the military. He was in the army. But I did talk about just what you said was my chapter is called Sankofa. What you needed to know, what was needed to know was made known. And what I was able to do with my dad was my grandmother, after her life partner had passed away. Her life partner had passed away. They never married, but they were living together for gobs of years. She
Mm,
had to move in with me and my ex-husband. And in the process of doing that, I had to pack her and all that other stuff. So I got to read letters from my dad. My dad had passed away before his mom. So I got to read letters from my dad to his mother, my grandmother. And he was She was like a black jackal in Onassis. Like when you saw my grandmother, she's always minked up and she's always with the rooms filled with Caucasian people. She's on a cruise ship, she's traveling and all this other stuff. And my dad was writing her and begging her to come be with her. She had left him with my great grandparents for them to take care of and raise pretty much. I'm not sure at what age she did that. I know that these letters that were coming from him was from him being in his older adolescent years, maybe from high school into going into the service. And I shared in that chapter how if I had known the dynamics of my dad's relationship with his mother, I would have never really understood that my dad abused my mom. He abused my mother. He was physically abusive to her. And from what I understand from my younger sisters, he was abusive to their mother as well. I did not know that.
Mhm.
And so I knew, that coupling me having psychology background and having access to this information, I understood exactly where that behavior stemmed from.
Yep.
Everything that he was angry with his mother about, he took out on my
Everyone.
mom and
Mhm.
probably the women that were in his life. And
Mhm.
so I got an understanding of that.
Mhm.
What's crazy is that he never touched his children. He was never abusive to me. That I know he was never abusive to me. So the rest of the children, I really don't know specifically how they saw things. But
Mhm.
he's my hero. My dad is the very reason why you see me courageous like I am. He called me Moose. My mom called me Pumpkin, and that's the sweet side of me, and that's the structure side of me. And my dad called me Moose. That's my crazy. I'm defiant. I can get it done. That's me. That's me. Moose running around, hair all over my head. That's why I could be rough, or I could be elegant, or I could be rough. And so he taught me survival. I have a stepfather, Clarence, that taught me street smart.
Mhm.
Clarence taught me how to handle myself out there on the street. And so, coupled with that, but just what you said, when men have a breach in a relationship with either parent, there
Mhm.
is a behavior pattern that does show up that manifests if he does not get his own healing, or somewhere along the line he does not get some kind of therapy to kind of release that all of what's in us has to be released. It has to come out
Mhm.
of us in order for us to be healed from it.
I agree.
And that takes a consciousness of saying, hey, I'm constantly kind of messed up here. And then it takes a desire to love yourself enough to say, not only am I aware of it, because some people are walking around fully aware of what the heck they're doing
Yeah.
and still not getting the healing.
Right.
And it's crazy. And they're inflicting themselves on other people, and they don't even realize that you're jacking up these people that you're coming, because you need to be dealt with, and
You
you're
know.
being dealt
You
with.
know. You know something ain't right.
You're just being
No,
lazy and
you don't wanna deal with it.
all this other stuff. And so that you do have to protect yourself. But again, it all goes back to self-awareness. You
Yeah.
have to know who you are. And
Mhm.
then when you know who you are, you'll know what it feels like when the love feels right and when the love feels wrong. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? You'll know when the love
Mhm.
feels right and when it feels wrong. And then you'll love yourself enough to say, I don't want to be in this.
Right,
You know?
because you'll learn boundaries. I didn't know what boundaries were. I had no idea, what they were. And even my own mother was overstepping boundaries with me as I was becoming a woman. Well, and not even becoming a woman, as a grown woman, and like
Hmm.
a real woman, kids and all that. She
Right.
was still overstepping back because I didn't get it. I didn't
Right.
know. But
Right.
through the healing process, even me, I had to be like, hey, I have boundaries. I love
Yeah.
you and I honor you and I respect you. But you have to respect me too, you
Like
know?
an adult.
Right,
Hmm.
So, like you said,
Yeah.
being self-aware and that time being alone, like, you need it. You need it.
You
You
need
need
it.
it,
You
'cause
need it.
otherwise you're not going you gotta do the work. You gotta sit down with yourself in the
That's
quiet, cry, journal, whatever you do, you got to do it. You
You
have
got
to
to
do
do
it.
the
It's
work.
like we talk about the
Mhm.
same thing for women. Men, they have dysfunctional relationships with moms, whatever. Women, we do too. We have dysfunctional relationships with our mothers and our fathers, or fathers not being there. So we all walking around here traumatized, right?
Yeah, traumatized, traumatized. And then and there's and healing is available.
Yeah,
Healing is available, and the
tired.
key
You like, look,
is
I'm tired. I'm
yeah,
tired.
yeah, yeah, and that's it. And that's why you'll sit back. And I know for me, it's like, I don't want any part. And
No.
I hate to say it, it's like, I'm healed. Like, and I know that God is not done with me. Like, I'm
Right,
not healed and I'm a perfect person.
right.
That's far from it. But I am open to making the necessary adjustments to myself,
Mhm.
negotiate or to work in compromising my own standards or
Mhm.
expectations. I'm open to that. And so because I am the way I am, it's like I don't want anything that's not correct to infiltrate my space.
Right,
So
right.
it's like, nah, I'm good,
Protecting my
right?
peace. I protect my peace.
Yeah, and you know what? My thing is too, men have to understand um, what their role is as far as being in pursuit of a woman. You need to know what your role is when you pursue a woman. It's your job to pursue. It's not my job. And it's not my fault, or it's not a pass for you because someone hurt your feelings, or when you went to approach someone and they were biting. Sorry, I can't help you with that.
Right.
If you want me, I'm classic. You have to come for me. I'm not coming for you. And if
That's
you don't man up, then guess what? I'm good. I'm good with being over here by myself. I got enough on my plate, right, Miss BJ? I got I
right.
got enough to do.
Oh, yeah.
I got enough to
You
do
got
that
enough
I
to
don't
take up
need to
your
be.
whole 24 hours of your day.
Yes, I do. I sure do. I wish I could be up 24 hours in a day. The older I get, the more I'm like, I gotta go to sleep.
Yep.
It's what time? I need to go to bed.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but anyway,
Yeah.
this was really about, we really went in good. This was very in
That
depth,
was it.
and so excited to share some of the book with you because normally we don't even reference to the book, but it was really good to share some of the reading of the book with you guys, so you understand that there is an ability to walk in healing. Prayer takes time. It's all healing is a process. It does not happen overnight.
Mhm.
It does not always feel good. I'm still healing. I know I'm still
Mhm.
healing because that was half my adult life. That
Right.
was half my life. 24 years is half of my life. So
Right.
half of my life I spent in that. And so sometimes I feel like, yeah, I'm great. And, da, 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 da. And there are moments where something will trigger something, and it's like, oh wow, that's still sensitive to me.
Mhm.
It just means that when you're sensitive to something, that you care about it, that it matters still to you. It doesn't mean that you should be hard and that once you're healed, nothing ever affects you about that situation again. No, that was a part of your life. That's a vulnerable part of your life. And accept and embrace your vulnerability. Embrace being weak. Embrace, and weak is not a bad word. Weak is saying I'm not strong in this area. I'm weak in this area and I need help and I need support and I need sensitivity. We all need that. We all need a hug. We all need someone to tell us we look beautiful today. We need that. Or God would have just left it being him by himself. He created mankind because he wanted love to not be mandated by a creature. He wanted to be reciprocated in a form of freedom. That's why he made man, because we don't have to love God. We don't have to respond to God. He made us in sovereignty. And he said it's not good for us to be by ourselves, because when we're by ourselves, there's no one. If you celebrate something, when you get something accomplished that you're like, wow, I'm so proud of this, you want to be able to run and tell somebody,
Mhm.
right? Now, what if you're here by yourself? Ain't nobody tell. so
Right.
so no, it's not good for us to be by ourselves. God
Right.
intended us to for each other to love on one another and to cherish, and to really, really respect our diversity. Even in the love relationship, you do not have to be with someone who does everything the way you do it. In fact, you should be open to the way that they do things so that you learn something new.
Right. Right. Need some contrast.
Yeah, you some contrast. Well, anyway, we have gone over. We don't care because we were having a funky good time. And
Great.
we hope that this, if you not watched it tonight, you whatever. And when you do get around to watching it, it has blessed you as much as it has blessed me. I've been blessed by our exchange tonight. It's girls' night. Kevin Long normally is with us, had a special project that he was working on. Dr. Shaw is out there celebrating life. We
Yes.
hope we can reel her in
Right.
real soon, but she is celebrating life and such she deserves to. This has been a long haul, and I know that she is having fun with her daughters, and we are celebrating with her, and we're looking forward when she's able to come back. We're looking forward to having her back. But anyway, this has been Sweetheart Before I Say I Do. We love you so very much. It's Friday night. It was ladies' night, and we was jamming. And so we love you so very much. You take care. Be blessed. And listen, it is Friday night. Y'all should be out dating. It's still early. It's 8 o'clock. Get you your date. Go out, have a funky good time, and be what? BJ, playful.
Yes,
Be
please. Have
playful.
fun.